The media in our state, like everywhere, are changing. No longer do the majority of people get their news solely from Channel 3 and the Hartford Courant. More and more are turning to the internet. And one of the best websites out there in our state is ctnewsjunkie.com. And with us today is the editor, Chrisine Stuart. Chrisine, nice to see you here on Face the State.
Thank you.
First of all, for viewers who aren't familiar with it, and some aren't, what is your website all about, and how does it work?
It's an independent online news site, so when the usual media offerings aren't enough, then you can go online and click on my site, and I cover mostly state politics.
Yeah.
So I'm at the state capitol every day, engrossed
And I check it every day, and it's updated frequently. What are your hours like? I mean, you must be there all day and night.
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much.
From early in the morning to late in the evening, depending, particularly this time while we're in session.
Yeah, I've noticed that, you know, if you continue to post throughout the day, your traffic goes up, so.
Well, it's a place to turn to. Let's talk about the Rob Simmons interview. What do you think? Is he, any doubt that he won't run?
I think it seems like he's going to run, and I think that he's right about the 2nd Congressional District when he ran, and he won in the 2nd Congressional District. It was, you know, very much a Democratic district, and he was a Republican, but he was able to win the unaffiliated voters. And so as much as Connecticut is a blue state, you know, I think that he does have a shot at challenging.
And it also seems like people want to blame someone for the economic mess. And, you know, President Bush was that person. He's gone now, and many people are now turning to Senator Dodd. His approval rating has now fallen to 41%, 48% disapprove, and more than half more people don't trust him than do.
Right.
You cover the senator a lot. What's his mood been like lately?
He's been in Connecticut a lot more than previously. So he's been making more appearances, and he's been talking to people.
Does he seem rattled?
He
by
doesn't.
What's going on?
He doesn't really seem rattled. I mean, he's been there for more than 30 years, and, you know, polls are not going to shake him. He even said today that, you know, he wasn't surprised by the polls, and he doesn't pay attention to them. And
Democrats are sort of dismissing it now. He'll come back. He's been a powerful senator. He's done a lot of good for the state. You think we're going to see a tight race?
I think it will be a tight race. I think it'll be a tight race like Lieberman and Lamont was a tight race.
Let's talk about the governor's race. The governor has not officially announced whether she's running, but she seems to be sounding like a candidate. What are you hearing?
I think that she's going to throw her hat in the ring again. And I mean, she has a 75% approval rating. So, you know, there's a chance that she's going to run. Yeah,
she's certainly not being blamed for the economy with that approval rating.
No, it's amazing that they haven't taken it. Usually people take it out on whoever the leader of the state is at the time the economy begins to tank, but they have not taken it out on Governor Rell.
A lot of finger pointing at the Capitol with the budget. Well, we're going to do this, you're going to do that, it's your fault for this. Where do you see this going right now? You know, how is it going to be resolved? What's going to happen?
It's tricky. There's a fight over $2 billion. You know, how big is the deficit? And the truth is out there somewhere, but these are all projections that we're working on. And the Democrats have asked her to submit a supplemental, and she has not agreed to submit a supplemental, so they're going to go do it on their own. They're going to say, this is what $2 billion would look like if we cut $2 billion more from the budget.
For a lot of people, the word taxes can be political suicide. Are you hearing any suggestions that taxes be raised from some people?
Well, the Democratically controlled Finance Committee is entertaining tax increases. And so they are talking about them. And I think in the end it's going to have to be a combination of everything, from spending cuts to tax increases to borrowing. And that's how the budget's going to get balanced. But that won't play out until June.
The governor, of course, has said that, you know, no new taxes. Do you think that she'll be in a position where she may have to sign a budget that calls for some tax increases, or would she veto it?
It's possible that she would have to approve some tax increases. I mean, we already know that she's in favor of increasing fees on certain things. So she did, her budget that she proposed on February 4th does include $160 million in new revenue. Whether some people call that a tax or not depends on, you know, if you go to the DMV and you get your license renewed, it's going to be more money now.
Unlike previous years where we used to see, you know, the fat days, there were all sorts of big spending projects. We're not really seeing much of that this year, are we?
No.
And for good reason. Any little projects that we're going to maybe see get through because they need to be done?
I think that you're going to see some of the projects done with the federal stimulus money, and the bond commission may do some bonding for some of these projects, but
And we have some Republican governors in the country who are saying, well, we're not going to take the stimulus money, but Governor Rell is not one of them. She got a personal phone call from President Obama, I understand?
Yes. And she has already, in her 2009 budget mitigation plan, she's already thrown in about $383 million of that federal stimulus money, most of it in Medicaid dollars.
We have a new House Speaker this year. How do you think he's going over so far, Christopher Donovan?
He's had some missteps, hiring his press aide at a very high salary, offering a job to former Speaker Jim Amon, was a misstep, but so far after that, I mean, after those missteps, I think that he's begun to steady himself a little and
sort of settling with the leadership. You've covered Jim Amon for many years. Were you surprised by those poll numbers? He got 4% in the last gubernatorial poll by QU.
You know, he's never run a statewide campaign. He's only run in his town of Milford for the most part, so it's not surprising that Susan Beisowitz would have much better numbers as far as statewide recognition goes.
Well, for the news junkies and the political junkies, 2010 is going to be an interesting year, which which is great. And of course, the budget crisis, unfortunately, is creating a lot of stories as well. Chrisine Stuart from CTNewsJunkie.com. Thank you so much for being with us.